Welcome, I'm Buddy Martin. This is the Buddy Martin Show. This is after the Ocala Quarterback Club meet tonight. What a great night it was. Among the things that happened was we gave out the first Wayne C. McCall Award for character. And the winner is sitting to my left. He's Marion County's own, I guess you call it Marion County's own, yeah. Trinity's own, Florida Gators' own, Jake Slaughter, All-American. Jake, congratulations on getting the trophy and the award. It's special when your hometown people come together.
I'll just roll to the open.
He's a legacy forever here.
Out of this.
Okay. Yes, sir, it really is. It's truly been a humbling experience tonight.
I'd forgotten that you also won the Scott Bradley Trophy as well.
Yes, sir.
So you're the only one we've ever had to do that. So kind of a double. That's a double right there.
Yes, sir.
Let me get real quick into a couple of things. I'll let you get out of here. People waiting for you out there to have your picture made with the McCall family, and I know they're thrilled. One of the things is, can you give me your reaction? We talked briefly about the new coach at Florida. There's a lot of talk about him. What do you think? What's the reaction? As you pointed out, they've only lost one coach so far, right?
The name of the award is
it stayed pretty strong there, and I think that's a testament to the type of guys that are being recruited already. And, Coach Sumrall
W-A-Y
message to the team and the recruits. I've only heard good things so far.
Is there a buzz? Is there an edge to him? I kind of feel maybe there is.
No, that was what everybody told me. That first team meeting when he came in, there was a serious edge about him, and everybody was just
that's too many characters.
What he was about, he was oriented.
The winner of the Wayne Coleman Award.
It wasn't. There was just a series.
Too many letters. It just doesn't fit.
And
I'm good. Thank you.
I think you said, as far as you knew, that only one player is leaving so far. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I'm not sure who it was, but it wasn't one player leaving. It was one recruit.
Yes. Okay, I got you. Thank you. It's about the money now, isn't it? It's about the money. So it's happening. I'm gonna let you get out of here and go, but I want to say, what a week you've had, and what a way to finish out against a team. You almost became a Seminole.
Right.
You committed and lost your senses, but you came back and became a Gator.
Yes, sir.
And you guys put on one great performance. You didn't want to let go of that, and you got it right down to the end. You want to finish the job. What was that like, beating FSU and playing so well, and number 13 going wild, and the offensive line played terrific?
Right. It was. I don't think I could have drawn up a better way to go out. I was super happy to be with my guys one more time and get a win with Coach Gonzalez, and it was a very special experience, one that I couldn't imagine ever forgetting.
Is there one memory you'll take away? Because you said to me, I've never had a chance to throw Gator on my coach before.
Right. Right. No, Austin Barber was the organizer of that one. He said we're going to get him. So we found the most full cooler, and we got him pretty good.
There you go. You did it right. Well, I want to thank you for everything you've done and how you're holding the team together as you did so well, and the terrific career you've had at Florida and the heritage you leave behind in your hometown and at your school for the way you performed, and that's why you got this award tonight. And I think that says it all right there. Congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. It's been an honor.
Thanks, Slaughter. Here you go. Here you go. You take this thing home.
All righty.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening. Where are we? Here we are. No, we're not. There we are. No, we're not. That's here we are. Here we're going to get there in a minute. Hello. Here I am. Hey, new studio, old studio. Good to be back in my old studio. Brendan Martin pushing the buttons tonight, and we're trying to find our way through here and do this. We've got a really good show for you. You heard from the winner of the Wayne C. McCall Character Award, Jake Slaughter. As a terrific turnout for the quarterback club, and great job by my friend Randy Briggs. A beautiful trophy, which will be awarded every year if anybody is worthy of it. The Marion County athlete who best represents what Wayne McCall did in terms of high character, scholarship, citizenship, and all the things that Wayne did. When we lost Wayne here about a year and a half ago, and Wayne was a captain of the '67 team. He played for the Ocala Forest Wildcats, was a terrific running back, tailback, and he went to Florida with his friend Gene Peek and became captain of the team. Wayne was always a high character person. His son is a basketball coach, Matt. His whole family was there at night for this honor, which was terrific. It was just a wonderful night, for the Ocala Quarterback Club. Congratulations to Mike McGinnis and to Wes Wheeler and to Randy Briggs, all the people who made this happen. This is a special, special time. And we're here at Ocala tonight, our last night. We're going to go home and back to Panama City. Tomorrow, we'll be coming to you tomorrow night live from right there on Sanders Bay. We're going to get some news tonight. We'll get to Allie Peek Wilbur. Should be checking in here soon. And we'll get her take. She's had a heck of a week. I know Frank Franchi just put out a long list of terrific podcasts that Allie has done. She had a nice interview with Danny Werfel a couple of days ago where Danny talked about in depth how he was heavily involved with the coaching search. And one thing I drew from that was Danny says, I don't want to just put my name on it and say, okay, I'm stamped the coach. If I'm going to be involved in it, be on the search committee, I want to have a voice in who it is. So he did have a voice. Danny Werfel had a voice. He spent quite a bit of time with the new coach, and he was very, very impressed. Nonetheless, I think most of us were. I mean, look, I know we don't want to get too far over the top. I talked to Jake about it tonight, and I talk about, I can't see that, Brendan, whatever it is.
Allie's in.
Go ahead and read it out. I can't see.
Allie Peek's in your green room.
Oh, is that Allie?
Yeah, you can't see that? I've been trying to tell you for an hour.
I didn't understand it.
There you go.
She is. Hello, Allie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm in a different setup tonight. I'm like you. I have changed my setup a little bit. Yeah, I'm in Ocala tonight. Just got back from a really good evening of the Ocala Quarterback Club. Jake Slaughter winning the first Wayne McCall Character Award. I know you know of those people and what have you. And it was a really great night, special night tonight. So, So I wanted to say congratulations to you. You had a hell of a run, and you're getting a lot of praise from a lot of people. And not the least of which was Frank Franchi tonight, listed all of your podcasts the last week or so and said this is must-see TV. Everything that you've been doing, you've been on top of it. You've been on your game. I heard most part of the Danny Werfel interview, which I was interested to see, and I would say this, that he wanted to have a voice in it. If he was going to be in it, he wanted to be in it. He didn't want to be a rubber stamp guy. So he actually did have, and you talked to him about that. Why don't you tell us what he said?
Yeah, it was really interesting. He told me that around the time that Napier was fired, that he called Scott Strickland and just said, hey, if I could ever be of any help to you, let me know, please let me know. And he said Strickland, called him back and said, would you help with the coaching search? And, he wasn't a paid employee of the UAA. He did this out of the goodness of his heart. And he was really in the thick of it. He said that they reached out to 12 different coaches, to gauge their interest and see where they were. He told us that the top three were Freeman and Kiffin and Signetti. And he said, Signetti pretty quickly removed himself from that because he got a contract extension. Marcus Freeman made it pretty clear it was not something that he was interested in. And so that, left Lane in that tier. And then he said he didn't name every person they talked to or reached out to, but he did name a lot of them. And one of the things he said was, you've probably heard the rumor, it was all over social media, where it said that Lincoln Riley's people kept reaching out to Florida and that we wouldn't return their calls. And Danny said that could not be further from the truth. He said that he personally reached out many a times, and that he said he eventually even found like a workaround to contacting his agent, because he said that during this process, he's learned that agents are not always honest and straightforward. So he wanted to have a conversation, with Lincoln, with agents removed. He told me he almost drove a golf cart to California, is what he said. But he was like, for whatever reason, they were not interested in talking to us. He's like, I don't know if he has another job lined up. I don't know if he's just happy at USC, but it is unequivocally not true that they wanted to contact us about the job and that we wouldn't respond to them. He said that's basically the other way around. And, I think because the UAA told us absolutely nothing, the only thing we had to go on were rumors and things we were told by individuals who are generally in the know, but maybe not within the inner circle that did the hiring. And it seems like most of that information was wrong. And I think if they did it again, it would be smart to maybe be more vocal about what the process is while the process is going on. Because when you say absolutely nothing, you allow the rumors and things to be the narrative. And I think that's kind of what happened.
I went through a seminar once in St. Pete about that. They showed exactly what you said. They had several groups of people that put them in different rooms. They told them different things. And one group, they told nobody anything. Mm-hmm. And out of that room came all the gossip and all the rumors where they were told nothing. And by you create that space mm-hmm. for the speculations and the wild rumors, but when you don't tell people, well, if you could just be a little more forthcoming, you might head off some of those things. But all in all, I said today, and I wrote, and I don't want to be one of these guys that wants to jump on the bandwagon. So, yeah, now we got rid of Lane Kiffin. I mean, we wanted to wait with Kiffin, let's be honest. Like the fact is, I think the fact that they sort of backed into it, mm-hmm. they sort of backed into possibly a home run hire. Everything I'm hearing from the people who've had contact with him have said they like this guy's age, they like his enthusiasm, they like his energy. And I even talked to Jake about that a little bit. He hadn't talked to him. But I think, if anything, we found out, I don't want to say Billy Napier was a wet fish, but it's a different personality. For me, as a former athlete, and I'm not trying to say I'm an expert on it, I can tell when the guy's got an edge, a little bit in your face, but a straight shooter, and it gets you motivated and tells you, no, you're wrong. You did that crappy. Do it 3 more times. That gets you motivated. That's the kind of coach I want to play for.
Yeah, I mean, I think he seemed direct. He seems tough. But one of the things that I enjoyed, which is something you and I have talked about on this show over the last 3 years, many a times, I think I already know more about Sumrall's family than I know about Napier's. I knew his wife's name was Allie because that's my name. And I knew he had, I think, 3 children. But with Sumrall, he made sure to tell us his third daughter. They said, what's her nickname? And it's Rattlesnake. And he talked about his twins. His son was pumped that we're a Jordan school and had his J's on. His daughter wants to sit in the student section to watch games. And his youngest daughter wants to know if they can win championships. So clearly she's competitive.
His son wants to meet Tim Tebow.
Yeah, his son wants to meet Tim. And that's more facts than I can tell you about Napier's family for 4 years. And I get it. You come in with a young family, you're in the fire pits of the SEC, and you're trying to protect them by kind of keeping them out of the spotlight. But getting to know you and letting us like you as a person is a form of currency. We have talked about this a lot. And it's a heck of a lot harder to be mad at Sailor's dad than it is to think that Coach Sumrall is an idiot, And I think the human side of that was really missing from the Napier era. And I think by design, I think that he wanted to keep it focused on the job, focused on football. He is a nice guy. He's kind. He wanted to protect his family. I see all of that. But our coaches that have endeared themselves to us the most, Urban and Steve, we know all about who they are. We know that Urban wanted this press conference to go fast because he had to go pick Nate up from baseball. We know we know so much about them because they let us into their lives. And so then when things go wrong, we want to defend them. We
don't know them.
Right. And so I think it was really smart. I mean, I think he showed who he was, and I think it was very smart to lay out the differences right off the bat. I think it was smart to make a joke about the Lane Kiffin stuff. That's the elephant in the room. If you never once addressed that you were the second option, then it feels forced. But he hit that head on. I think that's important. And I think, at this point, there's no benefit for us as a fan base to root against this guy or to say it's not going to work before he's ever gotten to start. Where's the fun in that? We want to win. We want to enjoy this experience. And so why can't we get on the bandwagon, be excited, and see what happens?
Yeah, I think he says this place wants to win.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a winner. We're going to win. And he owned it right away. And that impressed me. Again, I don't want to get too over my skis and put him in the Hall of Fame just yet, but it's such a dramatic difference to me. And Spurrier asked me, were you here 4 years ago for the Napier presser? I said, yes. What was the difference? I said, night and day. And it was almost like Billy wanted to keep everything he could from us, everything.
And temper expectations from the beginning. That's what you say, it's going to take time. It's a process. We're going to build it slowly and from the ground up. He thought he had 5 years. If you go back and watch Billy's press conference today, knowing how it played out, I really do believe he thought that first day, okay, I've got 5 years to get this right. I've got time.
No sense of urgency.
None. And Sumrall said that he has a long-term plan, but his short-term plan is to win immediately. And I think that was music to Gator fans' ears.
I agree with you. I think so. And so, like I said, sometimes you get back into a really good coach. And I think this guy's got the things about him. I think you said this, and Randy Breaks told me, he heard my friend Randy said, I heard Alex say this, and it really impressed me. He said, he chose us. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be here. And so that's true. I mean, we chose him, but he chose us over Auburn and other schools. So that's one of the things I think that people wondered about Kiffin. Did he really want to be here, or is it just another notch in his gun barrel?
Yeah. And I think, when the rumors started coming out of the Florida State game that it was going to be Sumrall, the social media backlash was large. And, instead of shying away from that, it would have been easier to take the Auburn job. Those fans were crying at the idea of losing him, whereas lots of us were crying at the idea of getting him because we felt like we failed the mission, that the mission was Kiffin. We failed the mission. And, the fact that he said he saw all that stuff and it made him want to come more because he knows we're passionate. Like, great, you've seen us at our worst and you still picked us. I think that says something, and it tells me he's not afraid of a challenge. The bar is lower other places. It's a high standard at Florida. We want to win. We want to win fast. Not only do we want to win, we want to score a lot of points while we do it. And we're going to pack the stadium, but we're also going to have an opinion. And it felt like he's okay with that. And I think that's a pretty good fit right off the bat.
Let's discuss the people who don't like the choice. Mm-hmm. There's some people, and it's fine. You not like it. That's all right. You have our ways of dealing with that. I predict that when you do see him and meet him and know what he's about and listen to him and watch him coach, you're probably going to want to be on his bandwagon. But that's now. I like to project out. I'm no oracle here, and I can't tell you this is going to happen. Yeah. But my gut is often right, and my gut tells me we got it right almost inadvertently. Yeah. But there's a lot of people who don't believe that, who think that we
We settled.
Yeah.
Got a coach for $7.5 million. A group of 5 coach. We didn't get any of the big guys that we got after. And then Scott Strickland strikes again. I don't know. Where do you come off on that? And what are you hearing from your people?
So, I mean, I won't lie. I was disappointed when I saw the name floated because it meant that we weren't getting the big fish. And I am tired of Florida feeling like an on-the-job training place. I think it's bigger than that. And when Strickland put out a statement when Napier was fired, he said things that he said he was going to get a proven winner. And he basically made it seem like we were getting a Power 4 coach. So I get on the surface, G5 guy from the state of Louisiana. This feels like we've seen this movie before. And I understand that. I feel so much better knowing what Danny has told us about the process behind the scenes, because it did feel very chaotic. We know very little. We think we're getting him, and all of a sudden, boom, we have someone else. And then the rumors are essentially that we panicked and we're afraid we weren't going to get him, and he didn't respond fast enough, so we just picked somebody else. And that feels frenetic, it feels chaotic, and it feels forced. And like we settled. But knowing that it had actually been days before that point where Kiffin had stopped responding, and we felt like, okay, shoot, he's not picking us, so we need to pivot. But the fact that they had already vetted Sumrall all the way through, already at that point, they were so much more prepared than we realized. And I feel a lot better about that. And then the reality is, no matter who we hire, it's a gamble. Unless you're getting Urban to come back or Saban to hop.
Even Urban's a gamble.
Well, especially in this day and age, because I don't think that Urban's way of coaching would necessarily work today. And Urban would tell you that. Like, he said that before. So any coach you hire is a gamble. And I recognize that. And I recognize that. And you actually have a comment about it now. We're promised an elite offensive minded coach. Yeah, I thought we were getting somebody that scored a hell of a lot of points. So a defensive G5 coach was not at all. And Strickland can't win for losing. He should never have put that statement out because it was promised to us. But then I'm also sitting here saying you should have told us more about the process. So, yeah. I don't know. He can't win in that aspect. But he did put out a statement telling us very specifically what we were going to get. And then it's not what we got. So I get the disappointment. But the more I learn about him, the more I'm excited to try. I want us to win. I want us to pick a winner. I want us to support the team. And we've said this about Napier in the past, but rooting for a coach to fail is rooting for the plane that you're on to crash. That's not, where's the fun in that as fans? Hopefully this is the answer, and his offensive coordinator hire will tell us a lot. Listen, he didn't automatically tell us he was bringing the guy from the G5, so I feel like that's a win.
He's got his defensive coordinator now.
Defensive coordinator, which I think was a good hire.
White.
Kentucky fans all over social media saying you got a good one. Their defense has been better than ours most of the last 7 years. They've beat us more times than not the last 7 years. So and even though I liked Ron Roberts at the end and I felt like our defense looked good, I want to see what White can do with athletes. Because if you look at when his offenses started or defenses started to not be top 25, it's when NIL started to become such a priority to these players. And it's got to be harder to get players at Kentucky NIL wise than it will be at Florida. And we've got a full house of defensive players right now that are ready to go. So if you can retain them, I think White will do well. And this offensive coordinator hire is big. I also think the strength and conditioning coach hire is huge. I think that's where Napier got.
Tell us about him.
Well, I don't know that we've decided who that is yet.
No, I thought you said they had. Okay.
No. When they do, I think it is critical. I think was Napier's first misstep, was bringing his strength and conditioning coach from Louisiana with him.
Had a pretty good one. Let go.
He did. And Savage is going from Ole Miss to LSU. He is one of the top in the country, and players lined up and begged Napier to retain Savage. And I get it. It is really difficult to come into a place and retain old staff. You don't know who you can trust. You don't know if they'll completely buy in. You don't know if they're upset about the previous guy getting fired. So I get why Napier wouldn't necessarily retain Savage. But in hindsight, that might have really helped him. And I do hope that this staff retains at least a couple. I'd retain Billy Gonzalez all day.
You hope so. You sure hope. You never know how this is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
He should be rewarded somehow. But,
Yeah.
the other side of that is that,
he's not one of those guys that's so big and boisterous that he takes up so much oxygen in the room.
no, he doesn't. He doesn't. He's all about the skill, and the receivers have played well. Anyway, I like the way it looks right now, but there's just some people who just aren't going to go along. And I remember Urban. People didn't like Urban at all at first.
Yeah. And winning cures all ills.
It does.
And that is, and Sumrall said he wants to win immediately. And if he does, he will win those people back. And if he doesn't, those people may one day be proven correct. But I'd rather not be miserable while I wait and see what the outcome is. I'd rather be optimistic.
Urban even won a national championship. He said, well, he did it with Zook's players.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that he went with his own.
Yeah, for sure. So it's crazy, but in a crazy fun way. I think a lot of us are relieved. The whole Kiffin thing played out way over the top for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And we're kind of tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted a fresh face. We didn't really know who we wanted. And this guy here can tell you. Well, I'll tell you about our sponsors at Meldon Law. And then we'll have Steve Russell join the conversation about the new guy. Is he the right one? Meldon Law, of course, known for their support of University of Florida. They do some great things. They're the only official law firm of the University of Florida. They also are in the law business, just so you want to know. Sometimes you think Jeffrey just wants to go play in the band, but they're serious lawyers, and they are here to take care of your needs. 4 locations locally to serve you: Ocala, Gainesville, Wilson, Lake City, and now a new one in South Florida. Now have 50 attorneys. Meldon Law, that one once upon a time little law firm, has become a big law firm. They do it right at Meldon Law. They like to say they don't back down. Try them. They love to help you. They help me, and they can help you. Meldon Law, they won't back down. Good evening, Steve Russell.
Hello, buddy. Hello, Allie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
We just were going over the obvious ground of things. Allie's had a great run the last 10 days or so, even getting praise heaped on her from people like Frank Frangie for her on-the-money commentaries and podcasts. You've had some good shows too, Steve. I saw a couple of them with Coach Spurrier. Let's go back over your week, Steve, and talk about from the time we found out there was no Lane Kiffin and what happened in response to your people. You're used to hearing people complain. You hear them every Saturday night, so you know about that.
Yeah, he does.
What's it like?
I know that pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, obviously on Sunday, got called in, and we went on the air right away at WRUF, and we took calls. And once it got out, a lot of people on Facebook and YouTube listened in, and the thing I wanted to do was just gauge what people thought. And obviously at the time, there was a lot of, oh man, what did Scott Strickland do? We should have had Lane Kiffin. The world was going to end. And as the week went on, went to the press conference, I'm sure Allie did the same thing, talked to Danny Warfel, talked to Scott Strickland. And, knowing Danny a long time, that was as, Allie, I don't know if you felt the same, that was as pointed.
Mm-hmm.
He was really upset.
Yeah.
And I've never really seen him, he's all cool, how he is. He was genuinely upset, buddy, at the fact that there was so much misinformation that was out there, and there was. And look, as an old journalism teacher who, I hope was taught the right way, that this being first mentality and not worrying about being right is so bad. It's so bad, but it's so prevalent now in our industry. And then, what was Sumrall Florida's first choice? No, but he won the press conference, certainly. He said all the right things, did all the right things. No controversy. He's going to coach his team. He already has a general manager in place. Whether you think that's a good hire or not, he does. So, it's off to a good start. And I said this, I was not a big Kiffin guy not because he can't coach and not because he's not a good coach, but because of just what you saw in all of this. With Lane, there's baggage. There's baggage everywhere he has been. And anyway, good luck to him. I hope he does great at LSU.
Yeah, well, it kind of changed as it went along. And I think once there was a show and tell, I began to experience the feeling of maybe this guy might not be bad. And what did it change for you, Allie? Is you were not happy with the choice, and then you began to learn more about him, hear him talk. What turned it for you?
Well, it wasn't even that I was unhappy with who it was. I was unhappy with who it wasn't. I think at first, but I actually got a text message from Eric's cousin, who grew up next door to the Sumralls in Alabama. And he was like, you've got to stop talking about him like this. It's not who he is. He's going to be great. You're going to be so excited. Gator fans are going to be so mad that they were not on the bandwagon from the beginning. He's going to be great and blah, blah, blah. And so we started talking about it. And I kept saying like, well, you have to see the comparisons with the G5 and Louisiana. And he's like, but that's where the comparisons stop. And he's like, I know this guy. He's a great guy. He is going to be the right person for the job. So that did make me, okay, well, let me, do some more research on this. And again, it wasn't who it was, it was who it wasn't. And it felt like I honestly thought Napier should have been fired the year before. Those wins at the end, I understand why he wasn't, but I have always had the mindset that if you're going to fire a coach halfway through the season, you probably should have fired him at the end.
It was fool's goal, it turns out.
And it was. And when you look at on paper, those teams that we beat, none of them were very good. But it felt like it in the moment, and it felt like there had been this huge 180. And so I think there's just a lot of that. And we had been told an offensive coordinator was probably going to come on. That didn't happen. And it just felt very rinse and repeat. And that's why I was not excited at the beginning. But I do feel like he did great at the press conference. And I do think most of the time we think the press conferences are great. Now, sometimes you watch them back years later.
Yeah,
and you're like,
not necessarily. Billy's wasn't. Yeah.
Well, I remember liking him a lot at first. And I remember that shot of the bus and he and his kids walking off the bus and feeling very excited. And you could tell he was a genuinely kind person and whatever. I at first did not mind the press conference. I think you watch it back now and you probably could have predicted a lot of the problems that we had. Like he literally stood there and told us this was going to take forever. And he had a process and that's what it was going to be. And it was refreshing to hear, I have a plan.
Trust the process.
Yes. But Sumrall sat there. Sumrall told us that he has a plan to win long-term, but he wants to win immediately too.
Yeah.
And he knows that what works at one place doesn't necessarily in the other, which is the exact opposite of Napier. Napier wanted the exact same plan from Louisiana to work here. And if it didn't, it was that someone was doing the process wrong, not that there was a flaw in the process.
Yeah.
Let me share this real quickly, buddy. Today, I called Scott Robillay, who works for the Baton Rouge Advocate, and I said, tell me who covers Tulane for you. And he said, Gary Smith. Well, Gary Smith worked for Gator Bait and Dave Sturt a million years ago. And I've known Gary for 100 years. Of all the people on God's earth, he's covering Tulane. So he was on the show today. First of all, their practices are open. They're open practices.
Wow.
How about that, Allie? Huh?
What a concept.
Yeah. And he said, no restriction, the normal restriction, but it's open practice. And I said, what kind of a guy is he? And he said, very forthright, thinks what he's doing is right, but he's not cocky. He's confident. And he said, even when Florida, and ironically, when Florida played them in the bowl game, remember, and destroyed them, but they didn't have any other, their roster was just decimated by the portal. And he said he just knows what he's doing. He said, now don't expect him to hurry up with the offense. He said, but they will do what they have to do to win a game. And somebody from, with Gary, who I trust because he's watched a lot of football and getting the report that he gave, if Gator fans were listening to that, maybe that helped with some more confidence with him.
Yeah. Let me tell you 2 or 3 things that got me, and they're small things. Once that got me over the hump. Number one, I love that he took time to introduce each of his children and say something special about them. That was impressive. I saw a video. You probably saw it. They made it a great job of him walking through the swamp, empty, with the lights on, playing "Don't Back Down." They're holding hands, walking across. I mean, it was beautifully choreographed. It felt like right. I like the fact he says, "I want to win, and I can win right now." And he says, "This job was made for me. Was made for me." And I also know that he knows enough about coaching to realize he's got to have an offense. And he realizes that Florida, that comes with. You have to have a scoreboard that explodes. So he's going to get somebody to move the chains. I have no doubt about that. There are many things about him I liked. I like it. You could actually ask him a question, and he answered it. What a concept. I had a chance to get one question at the end, and he was great. And I asked him about the day he found out when he was a senior at Kentucky he couldn't play football. What'd you do? Well, I can imagine what the other guy would have said. He talked, he said, boy, that was, he said, I got in my car and I drove to Destin and I drank beer all day. He says,
you would not have heard that from Billy.
No, not at all.
And he said, then I got a call from Brooks, from one of the guys saying, Coach Bush can come back and be a GA. He said, well, you want? He said, yeah, but I can't come like I am right now. I got to have time. And anyway, he was candid. He really is excited about being here. He wants to be here. He's a family guy. He's willing to tell you who he is. And I said to Allie in my Twitter today, I probably learned more about that coach and about the family and his philosophy in 1 hour than I did in 4 years of Napier. 4 years. Now, I don't mean to be critical of the guy because he's gone, but you know my frustrations. I thought I gave up. I don't even know how to communicate with this guy. So maybe it's just because he's so refreshing and different. And I know people say, yeah, buddy, you drank the Kool-Aid. Yeah, buddy, you said he was this. You said that. Well, say what you want to. I'm pleased right now so far. And those are the things that kind of won me over. And I'm not that he has to win me over. I don't know. I predict we'll begin to hear more and more fans say, you know what? I'm pretty happy about this guy. He gives us a chance, Steve. He gives us a chance.
I want to see if you guys agree with this. One of the reasons why Napier was hired was to clean up what was Dan Mullen's mess in a locker room, some other things, right? And did a great job with that. Kids loved him. Gator made all of that. He did a really good job with that. I do think this guy does have more of an advantage, if you agree. There is talent here. Nobody's ever questioned there's talent here. Allie, don't you think he inherits more talent and maybe a better locker room than what Napier did?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more similar to when Urban took over from Ron Zook. And I think, what Eric will tell you about that time was that they thought they were doing everything that they could to be the best that they could be. And you don't know what you don't know. And when Urban came in and basically just ramped up the intensity on everything, the competitiveness, everything became a competition. That's one of the things that Urban said he likes the most about this is his competitiveness. And I heard mat drills are coming back. So I know all of the 2000s guys are excited about that. But I think that they will have the opportunity to win quickly. And I do think the base is there. And so if the point of Napier was to build a solid foundation, which he used those words and sold us on many a times, I do think that was accomplished. And I think that the locker room cares about each other. I think that they're loyal to the logo. I don't know that I think that they are mentally or physically tough enough to succeed in the SEC. So if this guy can come in and take that clay and mold it into something tougher, I think we could win a lot of ball games.
I texted Urban the first day we learned. I said, give me a one-word description of this guy. He wrote back, tough.
And that's what what wins in the SEC is tough. Yeah. And I think that has been missing the last couple of years. There has been positives, and it's not fair to paint it as all terrible all the way through. But at the end of the day, this team was never tough enough to get over the hump.
One cautionary thing, though. Even when Urban came here, the league was not nearly as tough as it is now.
Yeah. Well,
Did you ever think you'd see the day when Vanderbilt would flip a 5-star quarterback, even though it's local, away from a Georgia? Did you ever think you'd see that day?
They flipped a wide receiver from Alabama tonight, too.
Tonight, yes.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy as it used to be. But to your point, because there is talent there, and I think if he just does what he is going to do in terms of toughness and things like that, not that they're going to be a playoff team the first year. It's going to take a little time because the league is so good, but they will be a lot better than they are.
And I do think there's a possibility we see some defections because of this, which happened with Urban when Zook came in too, because there are going to be some guys on this team who are not cut out for what is about to come.
And don't get paid what they want.
Right. And that is just a side effect of getting it right, getting everybody to the level of toughness that they need to be at. And so I do think fans should also think, like, don't freak out if somebody decides that this isn't for them. Be glad that they decided it before September.
You know, today was National Signing Day, right?
Yes, day one.
I remember when I was running Gator Country that we stayed up nights before, all night, getting ready for National Signing Day. And we had someone on the inside giving us, here's the facts came in, whatever. We were doing play-by-play. There were hundreds, it seemed like thousands of people waiting for the next facts. They even had one point they were going to do a Twitter account on the facts, and it was such a big day for everybody. All of a sudden, not so big. Number one, the transfer portal is made it that way. And now the fact that guys can move so easily, team to team, and it's not make or break day on National Signing Day. Well, they got 4 commits today?
Florida?
Yeah.
I think Florida signed 14 of their 17, maybe.
But they got 4 new ones, though, right? Today, is that right?
I don't know.
I don't. See, we don't even know. That's the point. We know
but they
every one
did
of them.
sign the majority that were there.
Right.
We're committed. It used to feel like Christmas morning, and now it's just another day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. So let's see. If you said today there's going to be a poll, and we're going to take like they do in politics, and we say, here's the people who vote this way and that way. These many people think that Sumrall is the right guy and will win, and these people think that Florida went on the cheap and think he won't. How would you think it break down, Steve?
I think the number is going up from what it originally was. In other words, the shock, those who wanted Lane Kiffin, it could have been God as the other guy, and it wouldn't have been any good because they wanted Kiffin. But I think since Kiffin has sort of hurt himself a little bit by what's transpired in all of this, and Sumrall did as well as he did, at least in the presser, I don't know, I'd say probably 70% maybe are behind this guy now.
Really?
Now,
okay.
Are they solidly? I think it's a wait and see, but I like the first impression, and certainly watching them in their championship game would be a lot of Gator eyes on that game too.
Hey, Allie, is it wrong to say I love you on the first date?
I think 70 is probably a pretty good mark, and I think that's remarkably improved from where it was on Sunday morning.
48 hours ago, remarkably improved.
And I think Sumrall knocking it out of the park at the press conference helps. And I think Danny Warfel and Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer giving their stamp of approval has meant a lot. And Danny, Danny's reputation is beyond reproach, Gator Nation. What he tells you is 100% fact all of the time. And I think our fan base knows that. So, if it comes from the UAA, they might say this is propaganda, or this is Strickland covering his butt, or this is whatever. But when it comes out of Danny's mouth, I think fans believe that. And he not only was involved in this, but put his stamp of approval on it. And this is the first coaching hire he's ever done that with. That was one of the things I asked him, like, have you done this all the time? And we just had no idea, or, whatever. So him wanting the previous coaches to be successful and him having a hand in picking this coach are not the same. And I think that does carry weight with Gator fans.
Steve, in all this thing right now, where do you think Scott Strickland winds up? he was under tremendous pressure and criticism. He had to come up with something. And as Allie pointed out, they had to talk to a lot of guys, and they got told no by a lot. What do you think Strickland comes down now with terms of his people agreeing that he's the right guy to lead them?
Oh, I mean, as much as I like Scott, I think if you polled Gator Nation, it'd be less than 50% that think he's the right guy, unless this hire works.
Right.
Then, that's going to go up. But look, I'm not great at math, but look at the hires he's made, and the majority of them have not been successful.
Yeah.
One great one so far.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's wait and see. But at least for now, that heat is off. But I'm interested to see, though, how much time this fan base, which is not exactly the most patient fan base in the world, will give the guy. Because
not as much as they gave Napier, I don't think.
No. And because of, you just said it, because of that.
100%.
Napier just does not help this guy.
No.
Because he's going to have to be successful more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not, or if it looks bad, it's going to get bad fast.
It will.
He's got to do reasonably well
right away,
fairly quickly. Yep.
I mean, I think that the fan base towards the end almost felt like they were being gaslit by the just be patient.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you can only hear that so much and know what your eyes are telling you, and that you're not seeing that improvement. And so there was lots of us that knew, okay, we could wait 5 seasons, and this is what we're going to get. It is going to be a roller coaster. We're going to win some we shouldn't, and we're going to lose some we shouldn't, and rinse and repeat. And so the fan base has less patience at the moment. But Steve, I don't know if you agree with this, but Buddy and I have talked about this for years. I really believe that humanity is a currency. And I think that doing the interviews, letting people get to know you, having people know Jon the person, not just Coach Sumrall, is going to benefit you, and you're going to need to cash it in for some grace at some point. And I don't think that's something Napier did well. I think that everybody that worked for him has said he's a wonderful person. And I've never heard anybody say anything about his character or the kind of person he was to deal with. But we as fans were never allowed to know him. And it is a lot easier to root, to be okay with someone failing if you don't know them. It's okay. It's easier to write someone off that you don't know. But if we fall in love with Jon and his family and those kids, we are going to be a little bit more gracious when an inevitable loss happens. And so if I could give him one piece of advice, it would be that. Let us get to know you, do the puff pieces, go on the shows, do the things, tell us the stories. You got to leave early because you're picking up your daughter from volleyball. Tell us that, because it's a lot easier to be upset with Jon, the dad, than it is Coach Sumrall, the coach.
Really well said.
Yep.
Go ahead, Steve. A couple of particulars.
I agree, Allie, with what you said. And I think the other thing that resonates too, remember, I'm a big history guy here, and Buddy knows this, and you know this. The pockets of success here, a lot of people think it's been a lot. It hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
The history of Florida football has not been, by and large, successful, especially big-time successful. Mm-hmm. But the shadow of Urban, the shadow of Steve Spurrier looms large.
Yeah.
What you just said is exactly right, and I agree. But he also said, I'm a winner.
Mm-hmm.
That resonates, baby.
Yep.
Now he's got to prove it,
yep.
right? But when Gator fans hear that, a little edge. He sounds like those other guys. Mm-hmm. He's got to prove it.
Yep.
But at least at the start, he kind of, okay, I'm a winner. I'm going to make this work. I think that helped him with the fan base too.
He's very believable. Final thing, we talk about nuts and bolts. Before we tell you about our friends at Titan MRI, you see the QR code there. Is that now the numbers and the money, how much do they have? People want to know how much they have for NIL money, how much they have. I know they have I think I read today, am I wrong? That Florida has the biggest pool for assistant coaches. Is that right? What I read today? Florida's pool for assistant.
I want to do more research on that, because in the contract it said assistants and support staff. And I want to make sure that the numbers we see from the Georgias and the Alabamas and the LSUs and stuff like that include that support staff as well, because that stood out to me as a word that like,
good point.
Let me get into this a little bit more, because and also how much support staff is he going to have? Napier had the largest support staff in the country.
Yes.
Maybe we don't need quite so many people to hold your cup of coffee.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
It might be a little less chaotic on the sidelines.
You don't need one coach for every player. Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, especially if you're not going to have one count the number of people going out on special teams.
Yeah.
But I think it's competitive, and I have heard that originally they were concerned about what the NIL number was, if they could get it as high as they had it for Lane, because a lot of that is boosters saying yes. But I have heard that press conference did a lot of good things. So I do think we will have relatively the same amount that they were willing to pledge to Lane, which is the only way that we can judge this fairly. If you give him less resources, you can't expect the same result, especially in an NIL era. That's not fair. That's not apples to apples.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. But I want to see, you're right. That's your homework assignment, Allie. Find out for us about that, will you?
Okay.
That's important. I don't know how much NIL money, but I had heard they got quite a bit. Does anybody know what their NIL money is going to be?
I don't know the exact amount, but I've been told competitive.
Yeah.
That's pretty high is what I've been told.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be really interesting. Well, I think we leave it now saying winning the press conference isn't everything, but like they say, if you don't win the first one, you can't win them all, right? So I think it was a good weekend for Florida. I personally feel a little bit more buoyed by it and feel more hopeful by it. And I can't wait to watch this guy coach, because I think I understand who he is and what he's trying to do. And I think he was very down to earth about that. He communicated very well. Let's face it, he's got to look good communicating after Billy, who was a horrible communicator.
Well, imagine if he didn't win the press conference.
It would be bad. Right?
Imagine that.
Yeah, right.
Coming off, that would have been disastrous. So at least whatever the heck happens from here, we don't know.
Another day.
Yeah, but at least for now, it's positive.
Well, I think you're right. It's been interesting. So let's leave it on a good note and say we're hopeful. Thank you, Steve Russell. By the way, tell folks about your show real quick.
Yep, weekdays, noon to 2. Always enjoy doing it, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Great. Looking forward to it. Allie, your podcast. You are knocking it out the park, girl.
Well, thank you very much. A Peek Inside Gator Football. You can find it on YouTube, and I'm Allie_Peek on X if you want to go over there and argue with me, which lots of you choose to do on a very regular basis.
Good stuff. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll wrap it up tonight by telling you all about our friends at Titan MRI Imaging. They offer the same great customer service. They can give you a nighttime appointment if you need it because you work days. They accept insurance. Also, you can go through their convenient self-pay option. They offer MRIs, CAT scans, X-rays, ultrasounds, and they have larger MRI machines for guys like me who hate to get inside those tubes. And they do it right. So check them out. No ERs, no hospitals. Coming to Ocala soon to better serve Marion County and the surrounding areas. Titan MRI, it's your choice. Great show tonight. My thanks to Brendan Martin here in his studio, my old studio. Great to see you back home tomorrow night in Panama City. Things look familiar here. Great night with Jake Slaughter. Congratulations to Jake. Thanks to the McCall family for being there for the great guys at Ocala Quarterback Club, all the great things they do. And tremendous job by Randy Briggs on the Wayne McCall Award. So I'll say thank you to our guest tonight. Allie, of course, always good to have her, and, of course, Steve. And then, of course, to our winner of the Wayne McCall Award tonight, Jake Slaughter. Have a great night. Back tomorrow night to wrap up the week. Good night, folks.